People often think they are learning techniques. I'm not sure that is exactly what is happening. What I've watched across years of teaching and what I've lived through my own journey is something quite different. In the beginning, a technique is something external of yourself, something to be learned and remembered and applied correctly. And the mind is usually active in this. There is an effort to get it right, a self-consciousness in the application, and there's an awareness of performing something. Now, this is completely natural. This is how all learning begins. And a child learning to walk is intensely focused on the mechanics. Every step is a deliberate act, and balance is quite effortful. The whole intention is engaged in the doing. And then something changes. The mechanics become more natural and the effort dissolves, and walking simply becomes how the body moves through the world. It's not something done. It's an expression of what the body has become capable of. And the techniques follow the same arc. Over time, the sequence becomes natural. The application becomes precise without the precision being constructed. And so the quality of attention shifts from thinking about the technique to simply being present with what is here. And then something starts to unfold where the technique starts disappearing. And that is because it has been integrated within the system, because it has become less something the practitioner does and more a quality the practitioner expresses. I sometimes think of it this way. In the beginning, the practitioner is behind the technique. They're separate from it. They're producing it. Over time, that distance closes. And eventually, after years of genuine practice, there is very little separation between the practitioner and what moves through them when they work. The technique is still there, the sequence, the application, the specific way of meeting the system, and simultaneously, it is no longer a technique in the way it was at the beginning. It has become an expression of who the practitioner has become through the years of practice. And this is what I mean when I say in my videos and my talks and my teachings to just be, or you are being. People sometimes hear that as an invitation to inactivity, to do nothing, to sitting quietly and waiting for something to happen, to sit in stillness. That is not what I mean. Being is not the absence of action. Being is the absence of effortful becoming. So a practitioner who has walked this pathway for years may still be working, still applying techniques or sequences, still engaged with their own system, another person's system. They're still moving through the activities of a normal life. But the quality from which all of that arises has changed. It arises from stillness rather than from effort. It arises from presence instead of the attempt to produce presence. It arises from what the system has actually become rather than from what the practitioner is trying to make happen. That is being. It is not inactivity. Action arising from a still ground. And the most beautiful thing I've watched across years of teaching is this. Students who came with years of practice behind them, who arrived with real development and depth, and who were honest enough to recognize that something had not yet moved at the level they expected, and who were willing, and this takes genuine courage, to approach something completely new without needing it to confirm what they already knew, who allowed the techniques to be mechanical at first, clumsy, uncertain, who stayed with that discomfort rather than retreating into the familiarity of what they already knew, and who were then present for what gradually emerged. And it wasn't a better version of what they already had. It was something genuinely different. It was a quality of perception that hadn't been available before. It was a sensitivity in the hands, in the body, that practice alone hadn't produced. It was a quality of stillness and depth in the application that came not from trying to be still, but from something in the system itself having changed. That is what the techniques are for. They are not to be learned and mastered and applied. They're to be inhabited until they disappear into the person expressing them. And when that happens, when the technique has become the practitioner and the practitioner has become the technique, something becomes available that no amount of learning alone can produce. The system knows what to do. It has its own intelligence, and it's far greater than anything the mind can construct or control. And when the practitioner steps back enough, when the effortful becoming quietens enough, that intelligence moves through the work in a way that genuinely changes what is possible for the person receiving it. That is what a living pathway actually produces. It doesn't produce technique. It's development. It doesn't produce performance. It produces presence. And it's not something done. It is something becoming.